Okay. Is that it? Okay. Good noonish, I guess. I'd like to call the meeting to order, and I'll ask Secretary Kroll if you will, are we going to say the pledge?
Would you roll call in the pledge?
Would you call the roll, please?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Roscoe? Present. Mrs. Cameron?
Yes.
Mr. Crow present.
Okay, thank you. We have a quorum. Our next order is the Pledge of Allegiance. If we'll all stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures. At this time, I would take a motion for approval of agenda. Do we have any, before we start though, do we have any
We
changes?
do not have any changes at this time.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
No problem. I'll make that motion. I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Would you do the roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Roscoe? Yes. Mrs. Cameron?
Yes,
Mr. Crow, yes.
we do have approval. Our next is our consent agenda, which was sent out to all of us, and I think it was online as well. Our minutes of the regular meeting held August 18th, 2022. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes under consent agenda?
I make that motion and we approve the regular meeting held on the 18th and the I guess the consent agenda or whatever it is. I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second. Would you do a roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Roscoe? Yes. Mrs. Cameron?
Yes.
Mr. Crow, yes.
Thank you. The motion carries. Now we're to item number 6 under action items. The first agenda item is approval of budget adjustment request. And welcome.
Good afternoon, Madam Vice President, members of the board, Deputy Superintendent Parnell. Before you, you do have a request for initial budget for our Perkins redistribution. The reason I'm bringing it before you today is the turnaround time from when we receive the funds to when we have to spend them is really quick. So I'd like to get approval as soon as possible so we can expend them before the deadline.
Is there anything that needs to be specifically sent out? It's
No,
just
ma'am,
your normal,
approval, and
okay.
I will do the rest.
okay. Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the approval of the budget adjustment request
I'll make that motion.
and a second?
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. May we have roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Roscoe? Yes. Mrs. Cameron?
Yes.
Mr. Crow, yes.
Thank you. The motion passes. B, approval of community partner agreement. Is that,
Yes.
is that for you, Robin?
Yes.
Ms.
thank you.
Parnell?
Madam Vice President, members of the board, action item B is the approval of the community partner agreement with Dimensions. We do have Mr. Parker here as well as Mr. Brian Bentrot, and I believe he's attending via Zoom, and they are here to stand for questions. And this is the Dimensions is developing community solar projects in Deming, and they're submitting 2 projects to the RFP and requesting permission to partner with Deming Public Schools. And so we have.
Excellent. Good afternoon, Madam Vice President, members of the board, Deputy Superintendent Parnell. Thank you so much for agreeing to the special board meeting during your lunchtime. I know that's very difficult to do, squeeze it, so I do appreciate you coming together. Specifically at a high level, last year, at the end of last school year, we did have Dimensions Renewable Energy reach out to us at a possible partnership specifically that would benefit the district if they were awarded projects. Project's scope is in your board packet. You can see what they're trying to do. Really at a high level, what we're looking to achieve is that they're awarded one of the projects. The district would benefit by receiving $54,000 for science-related supplemental experiences, both in and out of the classroom. And if they're awarded 2, then we get $105,000 for those activities. So Right now, there is a scope of projects that we were thinking initially that we built at the end of last year for science experiences, both in and out of the classroom. The idea is that we want to make science come alive for children, both in and out of the classroom, and really kind of build on the foundational pieces and the wonderful things that we have here in New Mexico that really can excite our students and for their love for science. So with that, if you'll have any questions about the types of things that we can do for the science end of what we would be benefiting from, I can take those. If you have other questions, I believe the Vice President of Origination, Mr. Bentrud, is online for any questions regarding the project and what that would do for the county. So I stand for any questions you may have.
Well, I think it would be good to hear what is in line for the out of this project that would benefit us. Mr. Bentrell?
Yeah, absolutely. So, just by background, Dimension is a community solar developer. So we develop projects that provide the benefits of solar power, including the energy savings, as well as the ability to support renewable energy to historically underserved populations. And what's exciting is New Mexico has created a community solar program that is geared to just that. So historically, one of the criticisms of solar has been that it's great that if you own a big house with a big roof that points in the right direction, but what about everybody else? And so that's what this community solar program that the state PRC has passed is designed to address. It's a way to provide access to the economic and sustainability benefits of solar power to renters, to low and moderate income residents, to small businesses, nonprofits, and so forth. And so we are developing 2 projects in the Deming area. They're actually just outside the city, but in the Deming area that we plan to submit to the PRC's competitive procurement process, which is expected to kick off here at the end of September. As a community solar developer, kind of core to who we are is leveraging the projects and the investment that these projects require to sort of maximize the local impact through educational initiatives, through workforce development initiatives, and through contracting with local companies for the construction, the operations, the engineering of these projects. It's really core to who we are. And an important part of all the projects that we built. What's unique about New Mexico is that the solicitation process, the competitive process, actually encourages you to actually go out and document these partnerships ahead of time and put in place your commitments ahead of time so that they're able to evaluate the local impact that you're going to have as part of their selection process for these community solar projects. So we've spent a lot of time in New Mexico, and we apologize that we weren't able to join today. We actually have 4 of our people in state today, but we've learned it's a big state, and so they're kind of all spread out in different parts. And so unfortunately, we weren't able to be there in person. And it was actually my daughter's first day of kindergarten today, so that's why I am joining via Zoom instead of in person. So we're partnering with local school districts, local municipalities, local nonprofit organizations in each area where our projects are located. And so given the 2 of our projects are located in Deming, we reached out to Deming Public Schools. What was great about working with Deming is that they, Mr. Parker and others, had all these great ideas that they wanted to implement that are specific to the Deming public school system and that area. For districts that don't have all these great ideas, we typically offer sort of an off-the-shelf K through 12 STEM curriculum that's focused on renewable energy, and we support the implementation of that. So what was great here is that the district had a whole list of ideas that they were interested in implementing, and so we listened, took that list. The district came up with budgets for two different kind of a shorter list and a longer list. And the idea being that if we're awarded both projects by the PRC, we would make a contribution that would fund the longer list that Mr. Parker went through. And if we're awarded one of the two projects, then we would make a contribution that would fund the shorter list of STEM-related activities that the district has in mind.
Any questions?
Is this just a one-time funding where you get awarded the bid, then you fund us once and then you're gone? Is that how this works?
Correct. Yeah, it is meant to be a one-time upfront
Where's your company
donation.
based out?
We're headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia, and then we have offices in San Francisco and New York as well.
And the solar that you're, about the solar project that you're putting here, does it to provide solar power to Deming, or is it going elsewhere?
So the project itself is able to serve anyone and who is a PNM customer. And so what we've been working on with the municipality and the county is partnerships that will prioritize Deming residents as subscribers to our project. So the way our projects work is residential customers are able to sign up and they receive the solar power at a guaranteed discount to what they would otherwise pay the utility. Your actual utility does not change, so you continue to be serviced by PNM. It's just that the power that you are supplied with is the cheaper solar power. So we're working with the municipality and the county to prioritize Deming residents as customers of our projects, but they are able to serve anyone who is a PNM customer.
Is there anybody else in the community that's getting your this whatever you're given a grant or this little thing, or we're the only ones that are getting it?
In Deming, so we have a partnership with Luna County that we've executed, and that's more focused around workforce development, not the educational piece. And then we have not signed an agreement yet, but we're working with the city has a nonprofit economic development agency, I guess you would call it, who we're working on a similar partnership with as well. And they have a couple of different initiatives that we're looking at supporting. I'd have to go back and double check what those are, but those are the other ones in the Deming area that we're working with.
Okay, let me make sure I understand this. Out of this, if this project is approved, if when this is all solidified and in place, the schools will get some of the power without having to pay? Or do we get I know we have solar at our house, and for 10 years we got money back. How is the school? Tell me again, just briefly, how the school is.
Madam Vice President, I could probably answer some of that, and then he can maybe go into more detail of the rest of the community. This specific agreement just allows for the district to receive funds specifically for educational pieces.
Okay,
Field trips, supplemental curriculum, technology, things of that nature.
but not our buildings.
Not the buildings, it's not a powered resource.
Okay,
It is just specifically for educational pieces. It's not to say that maybe the district wouldn't use some of the energy that's produced, since we do PNM, but I could have Mr. Ventrick could speak more specifically to the energy that's put back into the grid that maybe the district would perhaps use, but I don't think that is at a cost benefit. Is that correct, Mr. Ventrick?
That's correct. So this partnership agreement does just encompass the funding for the educational initiatives that the district can use towards its priorities. If approved, we will need customers for both projects, and so we would be happy to talk to the district as well about becoming a customer of one of these two solar projects. Again, the way our projects work is it's a standard discount relative to the utility cost of power. So there is a guaranteed discount from day one. No fees, no payments for the district. So it is attractive, and we'd be happy to talk to the district about that when the projects are awarded and become real. But that's certainly not encompassed. That commitment's not encompassed at all within this agreement.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions?
This goes through the PRC, is that where you apply it through?
This agreement, well,
Yeah.
yeah, through their agreement, through the PRC. Once they're given the award, and that's all done, if they're given one award, we get the 54, and if they're given both, we benefit by $105,000.
And is this the only company that's, I mean, are we gonna see these in the future, or is there gonna be other people that are gonna be
It's
approaching this? Are we
It's
rushing to some?
possible, I'm not completely familiar with the entire PRC piece on it, but it's possible that the more agencies that come in, we're gonna want to partner with educational agencies. It does look really, really good when you develop those partnerships to kind of put back and infuse back into the community. So it's very possible that as solar energy starts to take on it, there could be more. Mr. Bentrod, I don't know if you could speak specifically, are there any current PRC regulations that would restrict other agencies, renewable agencies, from also wanting to partner?
No, there aren't. It's funny, we have a whole network of partnerships in each of the areas where we have projects, and this is the question we get a lot. Actually, is why aren't there three other people knocking on our door right now? The answer is I don't know. The only thing is, again, we only do community solar. We don't do utility scale. We don't do residential. We don't do commercial. So again, this is kind of core to who we are as a company. So it's something we do everywhere we go. It's just in New Mexico, it's a little different because it's part of the scoring criteria. So
whoever comes to the table first, and then we're done. So if we get approached by another company,
We could probably do another agreement with it. If they come to us, we could ask for something similar or more, depending on where we're at and where we're wanting to scale up on our science ed. So it could be possible, like say another agency wants to partner with us, and we've done this piece and we're looking to continue it, or add another layer to our science curriculum or supplemental pieces, we could request that. There's a lot of different avenues that we've gone through. Right now, it looks like a lot of the requests for additional funding are for student-based experiences, bringing science into the classroom or taking students into the field. So that's kind of why we started here. But there's nothing that would keep us from, if this grows, that we could actually create larger experiences, learning labs that focus on renewable energy, bringing more advanced technology, possibly to do some of our CTE, possibly create a CTE pathway that focuses on renewable energy, like an electrician's pathway, things like that, that work on both solar and wind. So there are a lot of big things that could come of it that we may want to consider as we partner and scale up.
If I may, Mr. Russell, we actually do have an agreement with Solar Direct through PNM currently, where we don't actually get resources for educational experiences, but we do get reduction in our utility bills.
Okay.
So there are some other people that are.
And my only concern is I don't want to shut the door, and then we have 3 months from now or 6 months from now, somebody come in and offer us a sweeter basket and be like, sorry, we shut the door. We can't do anything else. I mean, if that's the case, then do we table it for a month or two? Let's see who else approaches us and weigh our options before we commit to something that's.
But this is
beneficial
continuous.
for the
This is
community.
continued. If we get somebody else, we can get their
That's
money
what I'm saying.
together.
It doesn't sound
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
exclusivity.
Yeah, there's no kind of exclusivity requirement or anything like that. And actually, I think it's in the district's best interest to take up everybody who comes with some sort of similar offer, because it is a competitive process with a limited amount of capacity. And you want to be sure that you're partnered with people that are going to come out the other side with that capacity. And so if, for maybe the right analogy, to have multiple horses in the race kind of fits.
We have been addressed by some other companies too that are applying for this RFP. But we haven't had anything concrete like we've had with Dimensions. So we've had some phone calls of inquiry, but we haven't had anything concrete. And we usually have where there's going to be several companies that are putting out proposals for these community solar projects. And it'll just depend on which areas that they develop in. If they're developing in Luna County, they would contact us. If they're developing in Doñana, they would be contacting, Las Cruces with their schools. So it just kind of depends on the area that they are developing the projects.
So we could wind up with 3 or 4 different partnerships.
Yeah, and it's all, the partnership's only approved if they get the award for the project.
Okay.
So this is a competitive award that they're going for. So they're competing against several different companies and it hasn't technically opened all the way up yet. So Dimensions is kind of above the game. Sometimes you don't see these companies come in until it's actually been, the RFP's actually been put out, finalized. When the application is, you'll have some that'll come and talk to you on the tail end. So they're actually ahead of the game.
I do want to make that note that when Dimension reached out to us, typically when we have these agreements, we have different agencies that reach out, say, this is what we want to do, this is what we're going to give you, yes or no. Dimension, as Mr. Bentrout did speak, we did meet, they actually came down, sat with us, they learned about our community, where we are, where we want to go, listened to us and was able to kind of retool that to make it more applicable to what we had. So I want to compliment them.
From what you guys have seen, is this pretty ballpark average for if they get 1 award, we're looking at 54,000. If they get 2 awards, we're getting 104. Is that pretty ballpark for these companies and them approaching the school districts and giving that kind of money?
Historically, what I've seen for Deming, it's actually this is higher. Sometimes they'll come to the ground with, like I said, like a package curriculum that may be a worth of $25,000. And so that's why we have a science curriculum. It's robust, it's high quality. So we wanted to add another layer to that. And so it exceeds what we typically see in package curriculums that are 25. In this case, it's more than double for every single one of the awards.
And so what my understanding is, this does not prevent us from taking further. I just want to make sure that's what I heard said, that
Yes.
others can come in and we can also benefit and partner with them as well. We can have multi-partners. Okay.
Yep.
Is that right, Mr. Bender?
Yes. Yep. That's correct. And like I said, I would encourage you to do so, because in the best case scenario, we get our 2 projects approved in Deming, somebody else gets their 2 projects approved in Deming, and instead of $100,000, the district has $200,000. So yeah, we are very supportive of that.
Any other questions?
No, ma'am.
I do have one more. Sorry.
You're good.
And maybe you said it with all the information. This would be for a certain number of years? Or just
So
for initial?
This is just it's an upfront. So some districts, look for, say, a 5-year commitment of $10,000 or $15,000 for a 5-year period. Here, we put it all up front because there are these defined programs and uses that the district has that they can put the money towards now. So.
Well, we have solar at home and I'm very much in favor of it. And I just asked that last question because we received so much amount for certain years. So I wondered if this had it not. So thank you for that.
Mhm.
Any other questions or comments, recommendations?
At this time, Madam Vice President, members of the board, I recommend approval of the community partner agreement with Dimensions.
I make a motion that we approve the
Thank you.
partnership.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mrs. Cameron?
Yes,
Mr. Crow, yes.
Thank you.
the motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're so excited to be working with the district and appreciate your support. And Next time I'm down that way, maybe we can all go to Irma's and get some tacos for lunch to celebrate.
I was going to say, we hope to meet you in person someday, but that's probably, we're going to hold you to that. So.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that sounds
On the
good.
record, huh?
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next, item 7, announcements. It's our regular board meeting is September the 15th, a week from today at 6 p.m. Any other announcements for the good of this full house today? Then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Any not in favor? Do you want to call?
Yes. Mr. Russell.
Yes.
Mrs. Cameron.
Yes.
Mr. Bogus.
Okay.